Hello, everyone. Nice of you all to join us again on our second episode of EDspresso Café. I'm in the dark here. We have no power, so I have every battery-operated light in my house is on here. So fingers crossed. And we're chatting to Ilonka Poole, Afrikaans teacher extraordinaire. Hi, Ilonka. How are you?
Hey, Irene. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Good. Glad to join you.
Guys, I have so much respect because, I'm also an Afrikaans teacher, ex-Afrikaans teacher, and I know hard work. Tell me, Ilonka, teaching Afrikaans 2021, where are we?
Afrikaans in itself is a difficult subject to teach because you don't have all the resources that many of the other subjects have. But I do remember there was a defining moment where I stood in a class, a grade 9 class, and we were going through some rules. And I thought to myself, how is it that these kids do not know these rules? I taught it to them in grade 8.
And you taught it to them, right?
Yeah.
So I couldn't blame another teacher.
Exactly. And I thought, you know what, there has to be more to this and something needs to change.
Yeah. And it is when you realize I've got to do something different, right? But I think you kind of did do something different because I see on social media everywhere you say Ilonka Poole, learning architect. I like that.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
When I went to my first webinar with you guys, that was the first question Lindsay asked, what do we are learning architects, and I just loved it. I just put it into all my signatures. And since then, I've tried to live it, and really use it with lots of professional development. And it was through your webinars that I actually managed to really grasp the concept of what a teacher is, meaning a designer of learning.
Yeah, I love that. And you have designed such cool things. I mean, the gamification site that I saw you made for your kiddos on Star Wars. I just love that. Talk us through that.
So it was after your gamification webinar. Yeah. And I was so inspired, and I really thought, how can I apply it to Afrikaans? I'm such a big Star Wars fan. And come on, who does not want to be a Jedi with a lightsaber? So after the webinar, I went off and I created my game, and where these recruits had to sign up, join the academy, and go through some challenges before they could become a Jedi.
Right. Okay. All right. Challenges. So what kind of challenges? Is this thing your Afrikaans grammar and things that you were teaching with these challenges?
Yeah, so we were at that point, we were busy with meervoud, plurals, and verkleining. So I created 3 planets, Endor, Naboo, and Ilium. And as you can see, I did lots of research. And you have to know your content. And
I can tell you are a fan.
And so on the very first one, for example, which was Endor, which is a forest planet, they had to run a marathon. Right. And there were about 5 different stops. And at each of the stops, there was a challenge that they needed to do. And it was about meervoud, because after the 5 challenges, if you were successful, you would then get a badge. And in this case, it was the Mogwai, meervoud Mogwai. That's it. Mogwai, okay. Yeah.
Cool. And so these badges that they would earn, were they kind of scaffolded so it would be more difficult? So the next level they went to would be more difficult than the first, or?
Yes. So what I try to do is on each planet, you start with an easy one. So kind of really the basic rules and examples. And as you progress, it gets more difficult. And I also set a benchmark. So I said, you can't just get 1 out of 10 and move on. A Jedi, you've got standards. Yeah. So you needed to get like 6 out of 10 before moving on to the next challenge.
That's
So that
cool.
helped learners to go back and redo it if they, didn't get it the first time.
I love that. And I think that's one of the strengths of gamification, right? Is that you can do something over and over and over until you get it right. The mastery is always an option
Yes.
in games and in gamification. And
absolutely.
And another element of gamification is actually the competition, right? So what was that like in your class? Was it fierce? Was there tell us about that?
You have to work with the learners, your generation Z in your class, and they is 4 people, and Xbox. So they loved it. Every morning I would wake up and I'd have so many different messages. Ma'am, have you checked my score? When can I move on? When can I check in? When is the next level? And they just love it. And I love the competition between, it was no matter who you are, boys, girls, it was all one equal platform, everyone vying to become Afrikaans Jedi. It was really lovely to see.
Oh, you are amazing, really. The stuff that you've come up with is just really great. A lot of work, right?
You know what? Funny enough, it's actually not, because as I went through the webinar, step by step, because it's 4 parts,
right.
You guys took us through it so carefully and hands-on. So in the webinar, we would construct it so you'd have a very clear idea of how to go about it. So, after the webinar, I think I sat one evening and put it all together, and it really wasn't that much work. And the joy that the kids got out of it was far more than the work.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, we have to learn to give the kids more work than the teachers, right?
Yes.
But I think you're right. We're running that gamification webinar again starting on Tuesday. And as you said, it went through 4 sessions. And the idea is that you kind of have that up and running, like you created bit by bit in the webinar, right? So you've got the structure at least by the end of it. But yeah, amazing work that you've done there.
Thank you so much. No, it was awesome, and I just love. And I mean, you can use it over and over again with your different grades, and just change in the back end. I used, for example, Quizlet, and Edpuzzle. So you can just go in the back end and go and change some of those questions, which changes up, but your front end stays the same.
Right. I see Erika has a question here. Hoeveel kennis moet 'n mens van tegnologie om so iets te ontwerp? Ek weet nie, Ilonka, you'll probably agree with me. We kind of you've got to have some basic knowledge, right? So I would say how to create a doc and maybe a slideshow, but we go step by step to create every little bit of technology, right?
I think that absolutely. Because I'd never really worked on sites for the gamification workshop, so I had very little knowledge of it. And really, by the end of it, I could do the complete gamification. So I think that a little bit, the basics that we all have as teachers now, we have to have. But in the workshop, in the gamification, they just elevate it and show you step by step.
Oh, hier's nog 'n question. I don't know if you can see it, Ilonka, from Alicia. Hello,
Yes,
Alicia. Queen here, who's just amazing. Can you see the question there, Ilonka?
Yeah, what advice would I give teachers, Afrikaans teachers, to inspire learners in the classroom and be more involved? I think, as I said, Afrikaans teachers do have a tough job because of just the content and how to make that exciting. And I think that if you like the Afrikaans Jedi, it's something that they are interested in. So if you engage with him at the same level and give them agency. I was master teacher, so I wasn't ma'am. So whenever they typed a message and said, ma'am, I said, who's this ma'am? I'm the master teacher, and I spoke Yodanese. So it's a little bit of role play and you really interact with them. It's amazing how they then click and they're on board.
Yeah, it is, right? And it's creating in the learners, I think, that sense of, like you said, like inspire them, make them feel excited about them, bring that joy of learning to them.
Absolutely.
And actually, we're running another webinar series on lessons that spark joy, which is starting on Thursday. And I think it really is, how can we like switch on learners and like prime them for learning so that they are really excited about even Afrikaans, grammar rules, right? It can be done. If it can be done in Afrikaans, I'm telling you, it can be done.
Then anyone can do it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I also loved what you said, Ilonka, that it doesn't have to be a lot of work, right? I know people think gamification, project-based learning, it's such a lot of work. And like it is, there is definitely work involved. But if you do it like bit by bit, I think it is something that you can definitely do. We are chatting on Monday at 3. We're talking to Lee Walker. She did a fantastic project-based learning unit with many beasts with her littlies. And she says PBL is not a latte work. See what we did there with a coffee. So we do hope that you'll join us for that. It was so lovely catching up with you, Ilonka. We could talk for another hour.
Lovely. Yes.
It was really fantastic. And I hope that you will all dip into Ilonka's site. Here is below, and it's have a look at her story and how she put it all together. And yes, get in contact with her. She's done amazing work.
Absolutely.
And let's all see each other again on Monday afternoon when Lindsay will be interviewing or chatting to Lee. Until then, I hope you keep having fun and you keep playing.
And keep leveling up.
There we go. Bye, everybody.
Ching, ching.